Hi and welcome to episode 16 of the This is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of TIR and I'm a wedding photographer too. Today I'm really excited to have the fab Lauren Brimhall with us. Lauren was joint first in the USA on This is Reportage for 2019 and has won countless awards from other associations too. Stick with us today as Lauren shares all about the things she keeps in mind while shooting, perseverance and work ethic, the story behind a specific reportage award of hers, the one with the bear, learning from her own work, the importance of personality in weddings, the dangerous and or bizarre situations she puts herself into to capture moments, and much more. Hey Lauren, how are you doing?
Hey Alan, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, super. Where in America are you?
New Jersey.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you know what? I'm really bad. I've been to America like 6 times now, but only to Las Vegas. I've never been anywhere else in America. It's bad, isn't it? I really need to
Well,
visit more.
WPPI, I guess, my
Yeah.
thinking gambling.
Do you go to WPPI?
I've been there once, and weirdly enough, it was before I was a wedding photographer. I was, working for some photography magazines, so I was there for that as like an employee.
Oh wow, okay. So you've not been back since doing weddings yourself, no?
No, it was just a bunch of people selling stuff, so I didn't particularly, at least then, I mean, not being into the workshops that happen and stuff at that.
Yeah. And so what are you doing at the moment? So it's quiet season. What do you do in the quiet season?
Oh man, what haven't I done? Sometimes I paint. I've written an entire young adult novel called Zoe Zombie, which
Oh wow.
I found an agent for it, but it never really panned out. But it's still 35,000 words of my life from like a couple of years back.
Wow,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
that's
always
a big deal.
find something, crochet giant blankets. I know I'm like old lady like that, but
You keep busy by the sounds of it. That's cool. Wow, that's cool, a young adult novel.
yeah, it was. I like it. I don't know.
What was the synopsis? So it's about, what did you say it's called? Zoe Zombie.
Zoe Zombie. Yeah, it's about like a teenage girl who, she's dead and she's a zombie, but obviously she's still alive, so she dresses as a human to go to a regular school with regular kids, so she kind of
Ah.
like has to put on all this perfume and makeup and cover up all her deadness. And yeah, she actually is supposed to live in this world that's alive but not that's dead, but where everything's dead that is alive and everything that's alive is dead, so it's like a bizarro world. And I don't know, they fight this. It's, I don't know, in the words of Twilight, Volturi kind of deal. It's
Okay.
complicated, but
It sounds really cool. That sounds great. Congratulations, by the way, on being you were joint first in the United States for this reportage in 2019, which is awesome. Congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, your group is awesome. I really enjoy, you know, the restrictions that you put on, the award winners. Having the authenticity there is what really attracted me to this group, and especially the story awards, which, isn't that what we're all aiming for, is just to be better storytellers.
Oh
So
yeah, that's cool, and it's great having you part of it. And yeah, you did so well last year. It's awesome. So take us back to the young Lauren. When you were young, what were you like at school? Did you always want to be a photographer?
Oh no, but I was always creative and reasonable at the same time. So, I kind of wanted to be an artist of some kind, or a writer, but write like novels and stories and stuff like that. But I
Okay.
realized that I would never make money doing that. So
Mm.
I decided to be like a journalist, and that's what I majored in college. I did take photography there. I had a fine art minor with photography and other stuff like that. And my first job out of college was writing for photography magazines.
Oh right.
Yeah, I met some of the best photographers of like 2005, and when digital was really first starting to come into its own, like David J, and I interviewed them for articles. I went to WPPI, and I kind of got really interested, but it wasn't until I got married and had to pay a fuck ton of money to my own wedding photographer that I thought maybe I can make money at this. And so I started doing it for a living. I quit my journalism job, and that was pretty good job.
Right, yeah, that's a big salary to leave behind, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was a managing editor for a magazine called Government Food Service in New York when I stopped writing. So it
Oh
was
wow.
it was like
So
25.
oh right, okay. And how did you get your very first wedding then? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, so much work. Um, so I really couldn't find, well, I didn't want to just go shoot a wedding, without any experience or training in weddings, and I knew I didn't have the right equipment. So what I really wanted to do was second shoot first, and I couldn't find anybody in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania. I was living in Pennsylvania at the time, who would let me come second shoot for them. They're like, "Oh, you haven't done your time. Like why would I help you? I've spent so much time learning all of this stuff." So I ended up flying to Alabama on my own dime to shoot one of my first weddings with a guy named Mark Turner, and I paid my own way there. I second shot for free just to learn. So that was one of my first weddings. And then after that, I kind of found some people. I was really cheap to the point where I want to admit
Yeah,
it.
no, you got it. It's a good way to start, though, isn't it? It's a good way to start.
Yeah, and the girl who's some people whose engagements I shot finally talked me into shooting their weddings. Like, fine, I'll buy stuff, some flashes or something.
Well, it must have gone well as well, though. But although I love this quote on your TIR profile, you said, "I've been photographing moments since before moments were a thing. My very first wedding was awful because I did just that, but didn't yet know how to do it right." So, what was that first wedding like then? Is that the first wedding you shot on your own, or?
Yeah, I think actually that was the one that I shot with. I was second shooting,
Oh,
so I
okay.
was second shooting with Mark Turner, and I shot everything on like aperture priority,
Oh, yeah.
and I was still doing moments, and some of the stuff is my weird sense of humor. I was taking pictures of them cutting some greenery that they didn't want off of their bouquets and trying to find creative angles for it. And it was all crap, focusing on the flowers instead of the expressions in the background kind of stuff. But I've always been interested in just capturing like what's unique about people's weddings and not just like the stereotypical stuff. So even if I
Mm.
look back at my very first weddings, they all show some weird shit like that. It's just it's in there. It's been in there from the beginning, and so I've always loved the different.
That's cool. It's so important, the difference, though, isn't it? And did you always know then, really, that you wanted to approach weddings in a documentary way, or did you experiment with different styles, or did you always know you're going to be documentary?
I mean, I was pretty much like, what is a style? I mean, I wasn't trying to identify myself or my style or anything like that. I just really liked, taking pictures. My favorite thing to do before I was a wedding photographer was to go out drinking for hours and hours and then come home and look at my photos the next day,
Oh, cool.
trying to get sobered up and be like, I don't remember this happening. This is hilarious, and post them all on Facebook. So, I don't know, it's just part of who I am. I love reliving memories that would have otherwise been lost if there hadn't been a camera there.
That is cool. I know you're giving that to other people when, if they drink a bit too much on their wedding, they've got the photos to see
Well,
what
if
actually
they're not
happened.
there, I mean, because a lot of the moments happen between guests and,
Mm.
or they're distracted because, they're exchanging rings. They don't even see what's going on off to the side there. And some, dog is licking a flower girl, or,
Oh, yeah.
they can't see everything that we can see at the same time. So I love giving them like an entirely different aspect, a different version of their wedding than the one that they probably will remember. And my version will eventually become their version, which is really interesting because I've been married for 10 years now and I literally remember nothing that wasn't photographed.
Right. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I never really thought about it like that. How, yeah, your version becomes their version. That's quite a power almost, really.
It really is. And, as much as we like to think in that moment, I am never going to forget this. The sad reality is that our brains cannot hold on to this stuff for that long. You think of any one day, the most important day in your life, more than 10 years back, and you're gonna remember bits and pieces. It's like nothing. Like, we give thousands of photos, we give thousands of memories back to people.
That's true. Yeah, that's cool. That is a great way to looking at it as well. That's really cool. Are you still in touch with your particular wedding photographer?
Yeah, actually, I love him.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, his name's Jared Wilson, and he's in Colorado. Hi, Jared, if you're listening.
Hello.
But yeah, he did a great job. I mean, documentary. I didn't feel like the PJ style was as much of a thing back then, but I did get a few gems. Like, my favorite photos, even looking back, are like of my two sisters, and we have this tumultuous relationship.
Oh, cool.
Crying at tears of joy at my wedding. Like, like, oh, they do love me. you know.
Oh,
So, I still have those few moments, to hang on to because of him. So,
oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So let's change tack slightly. Other than wedding photography, what are you really passionate about?
my kids, my
Oh,
family, you're always just trying to be better than, the generation before you. You brought up family earlier, and I think that I'm just trying to be a good mom and be a good provider, and that's pretty much the most important thing to me. Other than the photography is a means to that for sure, but I mean it does fulfill my creative soul, which I need. But yeah, it's for them too.
oh yeah, and they're the most important things, without a doubt. How many kids have you got?
Just two, Austin and Jackson. Jaxie is 5 and Austin is 7, and she is just talented little Pip, and he loves dinosaurs and is completely obsessed with them.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I'm similar. I've got a boy and a girl, 5 and 8, so very similar ages.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, it's a really cute kind of magical age.
it's cool, isn't it? It kind of part of me wants them to stay that age. They're
I
just so.
know, I know.
So how do you find that balance between being a mom and having such a busy job as a wedding photographer?
I am grateful for my job as a wedding photographer because I'm here even though I'm only partially present if I'm like sitting here editing photos or answering calls or whatever. Like I still get to be in the same house with them, the same space. I can go to them for hugs anytime I want. They can come here, if they get hurt and bruises, and I'll give them love and band-aids, and it's just, I still feel more present than I would be able to be if I just wasn't here at all. So, as much as I feel like, oh man, I really need to get away from this computer, I'm just happy for whatever I get.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great way to look at it as well. And we do, often we complain about how busy we are, but we do see, like as a father, I feel lucky that I've seen my kids more than a normal kind of 9 to 5 dad, really, who sometimes only comes home after work and sees their kid just going to bed. I've seen them a lot, especially when they were tiny. So there's a lot of good sides there.
Yeah, definitely. And my husband works odd hours too, so if I had a 9 to 5, we'd pretty much never see each other, and
Right,
that's a good thing or a bad thing.
yeah. That's funny. Um, if you won the lottery, what would you spend it on?
This is a funny one. Oh man, I'm not the type of person who even wants things.
That's
Honestly,
cool.
like I don't. My husband has to really get creative at the holidays, birthdays and Christmas and stuff, because I can't think of anything that I really want for.
Right.
Um, I think I would just save it. I would just save it for their weddings and their colleges. That's pretty much what I save all my money for, is for my kids'
Oh, you sound like
school.
a super mom. It's lovely.
No, I mean I'm fiscally responsible. I don't know. That would be most of what I'd spend it on.
Oh, it's lovely. I think that's a lovely answer. That's really nice. Do you have, going back to you shooting again, do you have any particularly helpful philosophies or thoughts that you keep in your mind while shooting?
Definitely. I have quite a few that I like to think about that really kind of push me to work a little bit harder at every wedding. And one of them is that a award-winning moment happens at every wedding. There are maybe 500 guests at each wedding. Obviously we can't be everywhere at once, but if you think about all of the moments that happen, all of the expressions that are happening, like every little thing that's going on at that wedding with those people interacting with each other, somewhere in there was an award-winning moment. It's just a matter of like how hard you can work to capture it.
Mm.
And I really pushed myself to follow another philosophy, which is, try to photograph the entire wedding from start to finish without taking breaks. Like we
Wow.
spend so much time, vegging out inside our own heads, kind of walking around, like observing, eating cocktail or food or whatever. But I try to just like see what happens if I shoot constantly and look for moments constantly. And, it doesn't matter if it's a guest or the bride and groom, we know when we're supposed to be on. We know, like, during the ceremony when they're exchanging rings, we've got that camera to our face. It's all those other moments when we're just kind of mentally resting where I try to force myself to, keep going, and it's definitely really hard to shoot an entire wedding start to finish that way. I'm still
Yeah,
working.
intense. That's cool though, and I think, and actually, that reminds me of you wrote a really good "This Is How" piece for us about a shot of the flower girl peeking through her dress.
Hmm.
And I know that to me, it was about you sensing what that you might be able to get a really great capture here, and your perseverance throughout the day to get it. And I guess that's what you were just talking about there, really, kind of, your intense perseverance and just working nonstop until you get what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you have a kid with as much personality as that kid had, and then you have this huge, awesome tulle dress, and I love texture. I love things coming at my camera. I love spontaneity. I love expressions. I love children. I knew somewhere in the course of that day that some amazing award-winning moment was likely to happen, and it was just a test of whether or not I was going to be there to capture it. And obviously, I just can't follow one kid the entire day, which is the only thing that irks me. But I did. I I just kept with it. It was one of the last 5 shots of my night, and I didn't think I got it until I went through my photos. So that's another tip that I like to give people: like, go through your own photos. You never know what's in there. I mean, you take so many photos. If you outsource them, especially if you don't even cull them yourself, you have no idea what's in there. So
That's true. I can't imagine. I understand why some people outsource their editing, but I don't understand how people outsource their culling as well. Some people do, don't they? I just can't understand
too
that.
much trust for me.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
polling is a great process for really forcing yourself to improve, because you have to look at all of your mistakes and say, why did I do this? Why did I make this mistake? What's wrong with this shot? Like, look at all your settings and ask yourself, like, why didn't this one come out? Even if it's not a good shot, I'm like, wait, why didn't it come out? It should have come out. They should all come out. It's like you have.
that's a really positive way of looking at it, because that's really good. I should have that in mind when I do my cull. It's like soul destroying. It's like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. Rub it. And then when I get a few good ones, and when they bring them into Lightroom, then it's like, okay, I can do this job now. But yeah, I don't like the cull. How long does it take you to cull a wedding?
I think, I don't know. I can usually call a wedding in about 2 days.
Right.
So, and that's with my 1 day for my shots, because that's just my mental stamina can only go so long. And then 1 day for the second shooter shots, like half a day for the second shooter shots, really. But then I find something else to do. So 2 days. And then, the editing, I average, like, I don't know, I 300 to my max is like 450 photos a day. I'm so slow. It's painfully slow. I'm always, again, I'm looking at every shot, and I'm not just editing it. I'm asking myself, how could this shot have been better? And my brain just goes off on this huge tangent, like, oh, I should have photographed it like this. Oh man, what if I had like gone over here and done from this angle or whatever? And then the next wedding, maybe something similar arises, and I'm able to put that thought process to good use and make the next version of that shot even better. So, it's worth the time, I think.
I think that's awesome. I think that's such a great tip, because I think I'm guilty of it. When I'm editing, I can sometimes, almost zone out. I think I'm not thinking how could I have done this better, and perhaps I should be. I think that's really good advice.
I mean, yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about photography all day, every day, you have these kinds of thoughts. Last year, I gave myself a little bit of a mental break, because it is so overwhelming. It just takes over your life. And but yeah, I'm getting more back into it now, and I'm enjoying it as well. So
That's good. That's good. Do you have like some other photographers, when they edit, they listen to podcasts, or they have like Netflix open on another screen? Do you do that, or do you just very solely concentrating on the
yeah,
on the
no,
edit?
I don't listen to any music. I don't even listen to music, although I think that might be nice. But I don't listen to music. I don't watch podcasts. If I'm editing, I'm thinking about the photos. Like I said, I'm analyzing the photos. I'm more than just editing them. I'm also, I mean, I've seen complete crap shots get turned into like gold, because I'm like, oh, let's go this way. Let's do this.
That's
e- e-
cool.
the flower girl shot needed a lot of editing because the light was poor, or I would have seen it sooner. I would have known when I took it. But it was a candid moment. It was actually like real, which is why I don't think it's won a TIR award yet, because nobody believes that it's actually a candid photo. But trust
That
me, if you saw the original, you would believe me that it's
Oh, I
candid.
know. I know from your This Is How piece, and you included loads of your contact sheets and stuff and all the surrounding images. So yeah, I know that's not pose. But it's a good point actually, because sometimes not just that shot, but other people can sometimes think that images are posed just because they look so good, but it's totally valid that sometimes great moments are captured and they're still totally natural, but sometimes people just think they're posed because they're so good.
Definitely. Even my bloody wedding dress shot, the one with the little bit of blood on the edge of the wedding dress and her like ankle is bloody,
Right.
with the dirt on the dress. Everyone thinks that like she stopped and posed for me, but she was literally jumping up and down on the dance floor. I wasn't trying to get that shot. I was trying to get like kind of the underskirt of her in the air. She was jumping, and I caught that one on the land, and I didn't see it till later again when I called the photos. I'm like, holy crap, she's bleeding. This is fantastic.
Yes, blood.
Yeah. So, crap edit done. It was awesome. But it was really totally candid. Most of my stuff is. I don't like telling people like what to do, because when you tell people what to do, and I got to give JD Land credit for this because he is awesome. But, when you tell people what to do for a moment photo, the only memory they have of that photo is that you told them to do it.
Yeah.
That's not giving somebody a memory back. That's giving somebody garbage, staged garbage.
Yeah,
So,
totally. I totally agree with that. That is like probably my main ethos on the day. Yeah, totally. Cool. Let's change tack again slightly.
sure.
Um, if you could be someone else for a day, living or dead, who would you be?
Oh my gosh. Your
I
questions
know.
are
It's
so
a random one.
Oh man. Hmm. One of my cats, because they get more affection from my husband than I do.
Oh no. That's funny. That's funny. How many cats have you got?
3. Even the fat one. I mean, I could be a fat cat and still get more snuggles.
That's funny, actually. You mentioned your cat because I interviewed another photographer recently, and he's afraid of cats. He has a proper fear of cats.
I've heard of this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the name is.
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Uh, I,
Not.
I was like, so you don't waste time on the internet by watching videos of cats then? He was like, no, don't. What does it mean to be successful to you?
You know what they say, living well is the best revenge. A lot of things happen that are negative in people's lives, and right now I'm going through some things with my career where, someone is trying to hurt me, but that always just motivates me to just do even better. I mean, win more awards and go and make more people happy and book more weddings, and I'm just going to live better.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean
So for me,
that's a
that's success. I don't. It's not like I have to be like a top photographer in the world or something. If I'm working, I'm providing for my kids. I'm living well and I'm happy. Then that's all I need. That's success.
That's cool. I think that's honestly such a great answer. It really is. It's awesome. I mean, you sound really happy.
I think for the most part, I'm a pretty happy person when when I'm in a social environment. I obviously have my days, but I like talking to people. I spend so much time alone at this computer and with like a 7-year-old. I mean, she's the best conversation that I have when my husband's gone. So I like talking to people.
No, that's cool. Because as you say, it can be quite a lonely industry, really, this job.
Yeah, it definitely can. I do miss that aspect of, working 9 to 5 was just having people in the office to talk to. But on wedding days, personality is a lot of it too. Your personality is really driving, a lot of the moments at their wedding, even if you're not directing things. If you're happy and you're laughing and you're giddy and you're silly or whatever, they're gonna kind of get rubbed off on a little
Hmm.
bit. Like I can't help if I smile or laugh at moments, and like laughing is contagious. So,
Hmm.
it makes people more comfortable being themselves when you're so open, and it makes them, you know, open up to those moments, to having those moments in front of you.
Yeah, honestly, I was just nodding. You can't see me but I'm nodding to all of that. I think that's really great. That is so important. The personality side of it is vital. And like if you were the opposite, if you were scowling or
Mhm.
looking like you didn't want to be there, people would pick up on that as well, and you wouldn't be able to get them off their guard and get the moments.
Oh, definitely. And I love, that's one of my tips I like to teach too, is make fast friends with, old people. They hate having their picture taken.
Mhm.
But they know, that the bride and groom want grandparents' photos. You never know what's going to happen after the wedding, and so they're kind of VIP. I make friends with, I will break them down. I love old people. I will get them talking and, joke with them, and kids too. I love talking about my kids. I ask them their ages and, play with them. I've literally spent, 15 minutes at a reception playing a card game with kids. Like, the two little kids that are under the table.
Mm.
It was like a fearless award that I got where their legs are sticking out. I was under that table with them moments before, just playing cards with them.
Oh,
Make fast friends with, even their parents. Because their parents are like, yeah, go do this with them, and yeah, its personality is definitely big.
yeah, totally. That's cool. Very cool. And you mentioned about you're teaching there, so you teach workshops and you've spoken at conferences and things. Do you enjoy that side, the teaching side?
Definitely, I really enjoyed it. I think um, working with Rich showed me that I definitely need to come out of my shell a little bit more, because he is so extroverted, and I'm like an introvert struggling to be like more extroverted. Like,
Right.
who was it that? Felipe Swiggers, who spoke at that conference. Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're like just like me. Yeah. But yeah, I'm working on it, and I do think I have really valuable things to say, and
Oh, totally.
I've really enjoyed the students. I'm still in touch with all of them, and I really, that was my one real teaching experience so far. So, but I've seen such great work from them since. Oh my gosh, Kathy Hogan, but she was like, she reached out to me and like, this shot is fantastic. She's like, look, I took it that way because you told me to take it that way, because she had such a similar shot during the workshop. And I was like, why are you over here? Get in their faces. Like, be over here. And it was just great. So I was really excited about like to see the success, of somebody else,
Yeah.
and say like, oh my God, I did it that way because of you. And you're like,
That's
oh.
really cool. That's really rewarding, isn't it? That's really
It's
cool
like,
that you've had an effect on someone like that. It's so cool.
I definitely am really happy that I had that opportunity. So,
Do you think you'll
working on
do?
it.
Yeah, you're going to do more of that. I mean, but you saying about being an introvert, you can still be an introvert and still do so well. I think you just got to be yourself. You don't sound very introverted on this call, by the way.
Oh, yeah. The social anxiety just comes out as the nervous laughter, but it's still definitely there. Trust me, I'm sweating a lot.
That's funny. Has there been a specific turning point in your career? Something, perhaps a certain wedding or award or something that's had a major impact on your career?
Um, I know that this is reportage, but joining Fearless
Oh
was
yeah, you can talk about
thing.
anything. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the turning point in my career. I mean, I have always just learned really easily through observation and just seeing such fantastic photos, like being part of that group,
Mm.
um, really made me realize how much my photos still sucked. So, I really wanted to create work that was going to stand up to that level, and I have pushed myself since joining there, just endlessly to, make work that is literally just that good. And now I think, it's the same with this group and all the others where, I'm just really inspired. I learned through observation. I can even look at somebody else's shot and say the same thing that I do with my own, where, oh man, wouldn't this have been better if this happened over here, or what, like we had photographed it this way? And I have the idea for like the next time I see a similar moment, a different way of photographing it, or, something like that. So I definitely am constantly learning and being inspired by the work of other photographers who are just better.
That's cool though. Yeah, that's really cool. I remember joining Fearless years ago, and that was a big thing for me as well. It is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely outside the box of anything that I'd ever seen. So,
Cool. Is there anything that kind of bugs you about our industry at all?
some staging, obviously, which is why I'm such a fan of TIR, is because I
Mhm.
really hate how we're getting to a point now where we're actually like staging moments to win awards. I mean, not we, because I'm not doing this, but
No, of course, no, no.
but some people I know I've heard of are staging moments, and sometimes it's really well done, and you would never know. And this stuff is winning awards, and it's really setting an impossible standard for,
Mhm.
actually, capturing real moments at times, and some of the
Yeah.
processing, which I don't really love the clip art, like kind of the totally blacked out backgrounds or totally whited out backgrounds, because there
Right.
was like. It was a terrible composition. Granted, there's like one or two of those in my portfolio, so no judgment here. I'm just
No.
saying, move on from this at some point. So,
That's funny. That's funny. What's a random fact about you that you think most people would be surprised to know?
uh, that's a tough question.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Probably what you don't know will not hurt you. think, I don't think there's anything that I want to share. There is definitely something that comes to mind.
Oh, really? Oh.
But yeah, there's a reason that nobody knows it. Let's just say
That's funny. We'll save that for like a few years. We'll do like a podcast where we had a bit of alcohol, and then you'll tell the story then. That'd be funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll give you I have a stuffed seal collection for now. That's what you can have.
Yeah, really? Wow, cool. We'll take that. We'll gladly take that. One of your reportage awards literally contains a bear in it, which is awesome. I love the way, like, maybe when you look at it, you maybe don't notice it at first. It's quite, and then you see it, which I love that kind of factor about it. It's like, whoa, there's a bear. Can you tell us about that image?
It's funny because somebody actually challenged that image for thinking I photoshopped it or something. Like, how does this happen? But it was actually a zoo wedding, and it was another one of those weddings where it was like at a zoo, and I'm like, I know there's going to be fearless shots here. There's going to be award-winning whatever TIR shots here, but I was like, am I going to be able to capture them? And it was one of those moments too where I thought back to my philosophy where I should be working the whole time. I should be always trying to capture the moments. So I knew that she was getting ready to walk down the aisle. I could have just sat at the front of the aisle and waited for her to come down the aisle, but I was like, gosh, it's been like 5 minutes. I really hate being away for this long. So I went and I found her. I found her in the little room where they were feeding the bears out of, and there were just bears right up against the glass. Trust me, people were staring at those bears, oohing and awing for the longest time. Before I finally waited, I'm like, this is boring. They're all just gawking at the bears. It's so obvious or whatever. So I waited until they were totally over the bears, and there was a completely separate moment happening where she had just received a call that her cake wasn't coming.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so she's on the phone. Her dress is dirty. They're cleaning her dress, which is the whole reason they're even in this room, because she's about to walk down the aisle and she gets a call her cake isn't coming and the bear is up at the glass. Because that's where they usually get food from. They're just expecting food, so they were there.
Okay.
I was like, shoot, I gotta get to F8 or something here because everything is not gonna be in focus. So I had to put a flash on in this tiny little room and try to get a deeper focus, and that was really challenging because I was backed into a corner to even get that perspective. But yeah, I managed to get it at the last minute and then run down and capture her just getting down the aisle. But if I had just sat there the whole time, waited for her to come down the aisle because it's easier, because it's less work, I would have never had that photograph. So once again, I worked a little harder. I went the extra mile and I was rewarded for it. So, I try to, inspire people to work harder,
That's awesome. Yeah, what a good example of your ethos paying off there. I think that's so cool. That's really cool. If people are listening to this, on iTunes or whatnot, you should go to the site thisisreportage.com, and I'll include that image there so you can see it. It's brilliant. It's so cool. I love the way, honestly, you don't notice it at first, and then it's just there. It's like, wow, it's so cool. Yeah, very cool. I can't believe some people thought that was fake.
I don't know. I mean, if I was going to Photoshop something into a photo to try to win an award, a bear would probably come to mind, but it's definitely a real photo. So.
That's so funny. I always ask people what bugs them about the industry, but I think that's one thing for me specifically that bugs me about the industry is people just moaning about other photographers, or but just saying horrible things on their work or something. I just can't stand it. I literally can't.
Yeah, it's a little bit bitter. It's not really my style.
No, it's nice people don't do it. Honestly, I just think it's just a nice thing, just be nice, people, just be nice.
Although I did just talk about the whole clip art thing, but I included myself in that.
Oh, no, you did.
Like I said, it was like a trend. We all go through trends, clothing, fashion, whatever. I just
no, of course.
trend that should keep phasing out, kind of like selective coloring and
Oh yeah, no, it's like what you just said was just a general thing. I mean, when people specifically say they literally write something on someone's actual image on Instagram or something, and I can't stand that. I just go,
yeah, that's
oh,
not cool. Yeah, no, if
no.
you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Exactly. That is such a good life mantra, you
I'm
know.
like the nicest critiquer ever. I'm like, I like say like 5 good things to make the good thing sandwich, just to put those
Mm,
1 or 2 like things that I think you can work on in there to, make it a better photo. But like really, let's go back to these great things.
yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. What advice would you give to people who have been shooting for quite a long time, say maybe 5 or 6, 7 years, who are maybe, not happy with their work or feeling a rut, or they want their career to be going someplace that it isn't? Would you have any kind of advice to those kind of people?
Hmm. I feel like I've totally been there.
Okay.
And well, my advice would be is things change every day. You never know when one thing is going to happen to make you really appreciate what you're doing now and the opportunities that you have. You know, for me, like I was feeling like I was a little bit in a rut and, you know, somebody decided to defame me on the internet and now I'm like screw you, like I'm not quitting, like this is not the end, you're not deciding that. I'm going to come back, I'm going to be bigger, better than ever. It's
That's
happened
cool.
before where you just kind of feel like a little bit of burnout and like everything is the same, all the photos, it's hard to find anything to really be impressed by even with your own work, and you just kind of get that way. Find something to inspire you, find something to like, find a charity project. Charity is great. When I'm in the off season and I'm looking for something you know positive to do, I like coming up with projects and just do something that feeds your soul, or kind of get you back to it, or think of it in a way that makes it positive for you again.
That's cool. And what talking about inspiration there, what inspires you?
um like I said, I really just enjoy that whole concept of giving people their memories back. When I receive
Mm,
emails and good reviews from my clients, and just like these words of what the photos meant to them, that is extremely inspiring to read that. um some specific examples come to mind, but I feel like it'd be too wordy to just say everything.
oh, you can give an example if you want. No, it's all good.
So I was dealing with this difficult client, and I was, the one who defamed me on the internet,
Yeah, right.
and I accidentally CC'd the wrong groom.
Oh, really?
That I CC'd it was another John. It was just the wrong email address, and I
Mm.
CC'd a John whose wedding I had shot this past year, and he was like, "Hey, Lauren, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I'm not the correct John."
Oh, no.
And he's like, with that said, Claire and I, we effing love you. He's
Oh,
like,
that's
he's
cool.
like, listen, if you ever need anyone to talk to, we're here. He's like, I'm gonna go to bat for you. He's like, I will write you the best review there ever was on the internet. He's like, I don't believe any of this could have ever been said about you or whatever. And he's just, like that just made me cry all over again, like a
Oh,
thousand times over, just to see that, while some people are, not appreciative to say the least. Other people, like, just I mean so much to them, or like the work that I did meant so much to them. Like, to me, that's, I don't know, really inspiring.
that is very inspiring. That's very cool. And I'm sorry to hear about that problem with the client. I saw all the comments of support from the community as well, and that's so lovely about our industry, isn't it, as well?
It definitely is. That definitely, it meant so much to me, like incredibly. you know, I can't even begin to describe because I didn't think anybody would even care. Just like, hey, signing off.
No.
No, you can't go. And I'm like, yeah, the just so many messages of love and support. I'm really overwhelmed and grateful to be part of this community. I wouldn't have Aaron if I wasn't, part of these groups. Like I wouldn't have found him. I don't think most attorneys really care about people in our industry. It's really hard to find, I'd imagine, somebody even wanting to deal with this nonsense.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Oh, that's cool. Well, that's all good. That's all good. Cool. Let's change tack again slightly. Have you ever met or photographed anyone famous at all?
Famous? Mm, No.
Cool.
If I met anyone famous even,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I even. I'm really boring.
No, it's cool. It was just a lame question. That's all. It's not you. It's a lame question.
I mean, unless you consider certain photographers famous, but I've realized that's only in our minds. You know,
Yeah.
like we live in our own little world. Like no one, outside of our industry is ever gonna hear from us.
No, exactly. We're such a niche of a niche, aren't we? We
Yeah.
are really. Um, what are you afraid of?
Oh man, I'm such a hypochondriac, really.
Oh, really?
Life is, I think about life all the time and how short it is and
Mm.
what we choose to do with it. So I'm obviously afraid of having some, having some disease or something take somebody that I love because honestly, at the end of the day, the people we love are all that matter. So every time something bad happens, I just try to remind myself, well, everyone that I love is safe and relatively healthy, and that's the most important thing. So I guess that is my worst fear is, that and or, my husband, he travels a lot for a living. He flies a lot, and I've always been terrified of like a plane crash or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I often check like the internet for I like Google plane crash when, if he's flying, if I haven't
Oh
heard from
no,
him
really? Oh.
really to make sure because I know it would be on the news, and that's the one thing he told me since we were dating. If anything happened to me, it would be all over the news. I'm like, great. So now I just check the Google machine for plane crashes every other day.
Oh man. Oh, that is scary though. It's just when your loved ones are away and traveling. That is never nice, is it? I'm always on Find Friends, to see where my wife is, even if she's like 10, 15 minutes late or something. So I understand that.
Yeah, no, it's just worry. My grandmother was like that too, and she would always call me at college and send me cards with $5 in them, and always like panic if she didn't hear back from me right away. And I'm like,
Oh.
God, man, get over it. And yeah, now I know I'm just like her. I'm just worrying about everyone all the time.
Oh. It's because you're so caring though, isn't it? It's because you're so caring. It is. You care. It's cool.
Just grateful.
I love how you describe on your site the lengths you've been to get the shot, such as you say is like lying under a horse no one's holding, you've been stung by bees and more. So what's the most dangerous or bizarre situation you've put yourself into to capture a moment?
I mean, those were some. Oh no, there was a really good one that's not on there. Those are definitely legit. But there was one time. This wasn't even almost to get the shot. This was to get a piece of equipment back. I climbed down an elevator shaft
Oh
because I was
wow.
using this like old rickety elevator to get a photo, and I put like my flash up on a ledge with the trigger on it, and to do some OCF stuff. And there was no place else to put it, and you couldn't fit the light stand in there, and it fell down the shaft. So I
Oh
went down the shaft to try to get it back, and the elevator started moving.
no
I was
way.
crushed at the bottom. It was like coming down on my head, and then like somebody ran in the elevator and like literally hit the emergency stop button and saved my life. There's
Oh,
no space between the bottom of the elevator and the bottom. Like I would have
oh
I
man.
would have legitimately died. But
That is like something from a horror film or
I know
something.
I still have nightmares. But yeah, I've definitely been under the horse, was laying on my back and like nobody's holding this horse. He was old. He didn't care. I mean, I just kind of lose all sense of self-preservation. I've almost been hit by cars like more times than I can count. The girl, the bicycle shot where they're the slow shutter, in the street. I'm in the
Yeah,
middle of the street, like laying on the floor in the street. So
that's cool.
pretty much stupid. I don't recommend it.
But you're getting the shot and you're getting the different shots that people who don't do that, they don't get. So it's awesome that you do that.
You get in the zone and you're just like, I have to get it. Like I must. I think it was Susanna Barbara. I don't know how to pronounce her
I
name.
think you're right. Yeah, I think you got it there.
Yeah, she gave a speech at Fearless. It was the first Fearless conference that I ever went to, and she was like talking about how she gets in the zone and she has to get the shot, and she'd be like running and trip over somebody and just pop right back up and just keep running like. And I'm like, I'm like, oh my god, that's so me. So I guess it really, we have that in common.
No, that's cool. And were you always like that? Because I think quite a lot of wedding photographers aspire to be like that, but they're a bit self-conscious, or they're thinking, well, what are the guests going to think of me if I'm lying on the ground or something? Did you always you not really care about that, or did it take you a while to get that kind of confidence?
I can only tell you how many reviews that I have where people have cited the crazy shit that I've done for photos because they love it. Like they're just so appreciative that you're working that hard. They don't care if you come up completely covered in hay or like dirt or you're barefoot for the rest of the night because you walked into a lake with socks and shoes on to get a photo for them. They really are just so grateful to have somebody working that hard, and I do not give one flying, you know what.
Yeah, that is so cool. That's perfect. Honestly, that's so good. That's great. So I guess I was going to ask, do you get nervous at all shooting weddings, or do you not?
Oh, before every wedding, absolutely. Like total
Okay.
anxiety attack the whole way there. It doesn't even matter that I've shot, I don't know, 300 weddings or something like that.
Wow, it doesn't go.
Yeah, I'm just super nervous. I just want to do the best shot that I can, and I hope that the moments, that there are really amazing moments to capture. That always excites me a little bit, but then I'm nervous because I have to spend a whole day with these people, and
Mm.
the verbal diarrhea, it works for me. It gets people comfortable. It does, but then you get the wrong client, and they don't find it so funny. I have all these laughing shots in my portfolio, not because I tell people to laugh, but because I make people laugh.
Mm.
But sometimes, like there's like the 1 in 200 that just is like gonna be offended or something like that.
Mm. Oh
So
yeah,
I have to watch everything I say, but at the same time still try to be myself, which is a really hard balance, and that
yeah,
makes
that
me
is a hard balance. It's fun. I still get nervous shooting weddings as well. It's funny. I thought it would go, after like 7 years, but it doesn't. It just doesn't.
No, it never goes.
No, I do envy the people who don't get nervous. I know, but they say nerves are a good thing, but it just never feels like a good thing.
I wonder if those people care. You know,
Yeah, I guess maybe.
nervous, caring, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Or they're just superhuman. They've got some superhuman non-nervous skills. I would like to have that, definitely. What do you find the most challenging aspect of our job to be?
I think the wedding day itself.
Mm.
For me, I'm kind of like a sensitive person. So, we do take our share of abuse on the wedding day. Everybody and their mother is like just kind of barking orders at you, making requests. No one feeds you, you can't pee. I mean, it's mentally exhausting. You have 10 minutes for all the portraits in a church parking lot and they expect greatness, like
Mm.
a recent article or whatever. Um, it's to be creative that fast, I have all that pressure on you. Like everyone's like looking at you, like, what do we do now? Like, if there's 1 minute of downtime, 1 minute is an eternity in a wedding day. So you don't even have time to think. And it's just, yeah, it's very, I think, more mentally exhausting even than physically for me. Cause I can run, I run like a minimum of 5K, 4 times a week to
I do.
stay like
Wow. Right.
to do this. So like physically I know I'm there, but mentally like it's so exhausting.
It's tough, isn't it? It is tough. And do you find it stressful outside of the wedding day, thinking of like bookings for the next year or, thinking of the future? Do you get, stressed about that or are you just quite cool?
I've had a good bit of stress for that, but it's been mostly surrounding relocation. So I've moved my business across the country twice.
Oh, okay.
And when I started out in the Northeast, I was booking like 28 weddings. By my second year, I had 28 weddings on the books for the next
Right.
year. And
Wow.
we just, when things were easy and quiet and I was just getting all these referrals, I had to move and start all over in Colorado. And then I had to, I was just there for like 4 years and finally things were stabilizing again and I had to move again and I had to start over again. And so we moved all the way back to the Northeast and now we're in New Jersey. So,
Wow.
it
That
was,
is a lot of relocation.
yeah. So the only times I've really stressed have been like going to like a new location, not having those referrals because, that's really the easy street. I don't even advertise anymore. I'm on easy street now. Because this is the longest we've lived anywhere
Oh,
uh,
okay.
for some time. So it's much, it's everything I ever dreamed of.
Oh,
Just
that's
not
cool.
have to start over somewhere new.
Oh, man. So do you have a lot of your kind of bookings, have they been in the past from past clients then? Is that one of your
Yeah,
biggest? Yeah.
mostly referral based. I do get like the oddball, like the odd here and there from the organizations that I'm part of. Like the Fearless and
Yeah.
ISPWP and this one. I get the odd booking there. But This year, none of my weddings even came from the Knot. I don't advertise there. I don't advertise anywhere. It's just referrals. And
Cool. Well, that's good though, isn't it? I mean, that means you're doing a good job as well if past referrals are coming to you.
like I said, it is a tricky balance. You show yourself, your personality, and people become genuinely attached, and they do refer you out of their heart for years and years to come, and it's great. I still had referrals from Pennsylvania, so I still go to Pennsylvania because that's where I started my business, all those years ago. I just married off last year a bride whose senior portraits I shot 9 years ago. She
Oh,
was,
wow, that's cool.
yeah, so they if they don't want to forget you, they never will.
That's very cool. That's really cool. What do you do? What's the first thing you do after you shot a wedding and you get back home? What's the first thing you do?
Oh, I make a really stiff drink.
Do you? Yeah.
I also have a hot tub or a bath. I usually my blood pressure drops, and so I just need to get warm, get a buzz on, go to sleep, and then have lovely anxiety dreams until morning.
Oh
So,
no, do you? Literally after a wedding?
oh my gosh, I'm so sick after weddings. I don't do doubles anymore because it was just physically and mentally too much for me. I was it's really gross, but I sweat a lot after weddings, the whole night, and I have to change my clothes 3 times. After doubles, I was throwing up on the third day.
Oh
That's
no.
how hard I push myself. So I'm not doing doubles anymore this year, which is why I have a few less weddings. But I'm really happy for it because I was just so sick I couldn't even function, and that sucks too because that's my kids' day off from school. Sunday, if I were shoot a wedding Friday and Saturday, Sunday they have off, and I can't even see them. I'm just like a zombie. It's terrible. So yeah, I don't do
Oh,
that anymore.
a very good decision not to do that anymore, I think. Yeah. So, I think Lauren, this has been awesome. I think we've got time just for one more question. What, in your opinion, makes a good wedding photographer?
Um, I really think it all comes back to just caring enough about what you do and about your clients and the work to really work. You know, I can shoot weddings for the next 10 years if I want and never grow, never learn anything new. And I'll probably take a long time to, fizzle out and be out of business in the selective coloring world with these super old guys. Um, but I think you just have to keep going, you just have to keep staying inspired somehow and staying motivated to work hard and to keep learning and to keep growing. Or that's the thing that makes really great photographers, is that they never stop learning. They just keep going and they keep trying to be better and better. As soon as you stop trying to be better, you're just gonna plateau and go downhill. As the world will outgrow you.
That's awesome advice. I was just nodding away again there. It's a shame you can't see me nodding, but I was just nodding.
I'm oh, what tangent I'm on here. I could totally not be answering the question anymore at all.
Oh no, Lauren, that was brilliant. Thank you. That was such. Oh man, thank you so much for your time there, and your openness and honesty, and just that was so interesting. You gave such great bits of information and advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. This was a really fun, cool opportunity, and it's good for me to kind of revisit some of my own thoughts sometimes too. So.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I love talking to you. As we said just before we started recording it. It's funny for me because obviously we've talked, but just over Messenger, and so it's lovely to see you and hear your voice, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I know you have a cute accent going too, so that's all fun. I'm like, oh, that makes me happy.
Oh, that's cool. And I hope we get to meet you in the flesh one day. And you're not coming to WPPI, are you? But if you come over to England some next time and, come over to a TIR party. And it's a long way for you to come, but it'd be cool to meet you.
I was there last year, when we went to England after we were in Ekin. So I really
yeah. Where were you? Did you go to London? Or?
Yeah, we were in London, and then we went to Stonehenge, wherever part of England that is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really directionally challenged, so.
That's funny. I'm all for geography as well, even in England. But I've never actually visited Stonehenge, but I've driven past it loads. I know. I've driven past it, and you slow down in the car like everyone else, and you look at it.
It's the same.
Did you actually walk around? Was it quite cool to walk around it?
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, you see it, you just check it out. It's a box, you check it.
Yeah. Oh, that's what, so I live in Cornwall, which is it's about 5 hours by train from London, so it's quite far. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're out there.
yeah, but any other time, I'd love to meet you someday. It's cool. And
No,
thank you.
I'm sure our paths will cross somehow. I mean, I haven't been
Yeah.
to anything this year, but I'm gonna start going to things again soon. So as soon as this other nonsense is over. So
Oh yeah, I hope that's over soon. Hopefully it's. Yeah, awesome, Lauren. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Have a great night and enjoy your weekend coming up.
And you. Thanks again, Lauren. Bye bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 16th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. I thought Lauren was fab. Really enjoyed talking to her, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Head to thisisreportage.com to see the specific reportage award that Lauren talks about in the podcast, as well as links to more of her fab work. If you enjoyed the podcast today, you can subscribe to our show on iTunes to be notified when each new weekly episode is ready, bringing you advice, tips, and backstories from some of the world's best photographers each week. And if you have a few minutes to give us a review, that would be massively appreciated. Each review increases the chance of these fab people getting heard by more and more listeners. And if you're not yet a member of TIR, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 Reportage Award and 18 Story Award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts and more. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.